Scott,
You're
your
on
mic
mute.
is muted, so if you can please start over.
Good evening. Welcome to the April 22nd meeting of the Edina Board of Appeal and Equalization. This meeting is being held electronically to comply with the governor's stay-at-home order and to ensure the safety of all residents and staff. All members of the local board and the assessing staff are participating from their homes or the offices. Before we begin, if you are watching this meeting and were planning to present your appeal in person tonight, please leave a voicemail message instead with the following number, 952-826-0377. I'll repeat that number in a minute. A member of the assessing staff will contact you tomorrow and make sure that your appeal will be considered at our reconvening meeting May 6th at 5:30, which is 2 weeks from tonight. Again, the number to call tonight and leave a voicemail message is 952-826-0377. Jamie, will you please take the roll call for tonight?
Andrew Ayers. Andrew Ayers. Phil Buckfold.
Present.
Ed Craycraft.
Present.
Scott Smith.
Present.
Roger McBeady.
Present.
A quorum is present, so the meeting will come to order. Our first order of business is the election of the chair and vice chair. I will now open the nominations for the position of chair and vice chair. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Thank you. Are there any nominations for chair of the board this year? I would like to nominate Phil Buckfold.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Scott Smith.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
Second.
Okay, thank you. So Phil Buckfold has been nominated for the position of chair and Scott Smith for vice chair. Are there any other nominations for chair and vice chair? If there are no other nominations, the nominations are now closed. Okay, it has been moved and seconded that Phil Buckfold will serve as chair, Scott Smith as vice chair. Jamie, please take a roll.
Andrew Ayers. Phil Buckfold.
Aye.
Ed Craycraft.
Aye.
Scott Smith.
Aye.
Roger McBeady.
Aye.
And Andrew, can I grab yours again, please? Andrew Ayers.
Andrew, you may be on Andrew, you may be on mute on your phone and on the WebEx. I can't hear you. We'll move on. Our board is comprised of local Edina residents with various backgrounds. I would like each board member to introduce themselves for purposes of the record. We'll start with you, Ed.
Good evening. My name is Ed Craycraft. I've served on this committee for, I think, about 5 years, and grew up in Edina, longtime resident, and am a corporate finance professional.
Thank you, Ed. Scott Smith, would you please introduce yourself?
My name is Scott Smith. I lived in Edina for about 25 years. I've been in the real estate business for 35 years, and I'm actively involved in the commercial real estate industry here in Edina.
Thank you, Scott. Roger McBeady, would you please introduce yourself? And Roger, you're still on mute.
I'm Roger McVitie. I've lived in Edina for about 7 years. I'm a retired commodity brokerage person. Been on the council here for 6 years.
Great. Thank you, Roger. Andrew, would you mind introducing yourself? Let's see if the audio is back. Bob, is it okay to move on while Andrew works through his AV issues?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Sorry, Andrew, we'll absolutely come back to you. Ed, did you have something to say?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I was just going to suggest, could Andrew call in on his phone rather than his computer for audio?
Thank you for the suggestion, Ed. We'll see if that works for Andrew. Andrew, when you're back, I'll look for you on the screen and we'll make sure you introduce yourself before the meeting's over. Good evening, everyone. My name's Phil Buckfold. This is my 3rd year serving on the board. I have a finance and accounting background, active CPA license, and I currently work in the medical device industry. Wonderful. Well, I'll move toward a overview of tonight's meeting. First, we are here tonight to receive written testimony and evidence from property owners regarding their January 2nd estimated market or classification. State law requires that all property should be valued at its market value. Market value is the price that would tend to prevail under typical, normal, competitive, open market conditions. We are not here tonight to take written testimony on real estate taxes or legislative issues. There are other forums in which to address those concerns. The board will take the causes under advisement and will not be making any decisions at tonight's meeting. The board will then reconvene on May 6th to make their final decisions on the appeal. The board has the authority to raise, reduce, or sustain the market value of each property. The assessing staff will not be completing any on-site inspections this year of the appealed property. Your application, supporting data, and a staff review report will be considered when rendering our decision. At the conclusion of the meeting on May 6th, the assessing division will notify the appellant by letter regarding the board's decision. Appellants who are not satisfied with the board's decision may pursue their appeal to the County Board of Appeal and Equalization or the Minnesota Tax Court. Board members have copies of the written appeals that were received by Tuesday, April 21st. For those individuals who planned on presenting their appeal in person tonight, please provide a written appeal to the assessing department and it will be reconsidered at our reconvened meeting on May 6th. And as Scott noted earlier, the number to call to leave a voicemail is 952-826-0377. Last but not least, the assessor will read each of the appeals into the record. Before we move forward, I'd like to just check if Andrew has audio back. Andrew, would you mind introducing yourself if possible?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Wonderful. We have you. Yes.
Okay. Sure. Andrew Ayers. I'm a local attorney here in Edina. Is there an echo for everyone else or just for me? Thank you. Better? Great. So I'm a local attorney here in Edina. I practice real estate law. I practice estate planning and small business counseling, and I've been a member of the board for 4 years.
Thanks, Andrew. Wonderful. Okay, moving forward. After the cases have been presented and there are no further questions from the board members, we will request a motion to recess each case to the meeting, which will reconvene once again electronically on Wednesday, May 6th at 5:30 p.m. Do I have a motion?
We don't need a motion until the meeting is recessed after the cases have been heard. So.
Okay, wonderful. I'll let you read into the record then, Bob.
Sure. Tonight we have 10 cases of applications that were received by the end of the day yesterday. The first case is KJADS LLC, Steve Worth, and he's representing 6 industrial condominiums at 7471 through 7495 Cahill Road. And he has submitted an application, and you have the information in front of you with his application and a synopsis of each of the 6 parcels. The total value of the 6 parcels for January 2nd of 2020 is $1,462,100, and the owner's opinion of value as of January 2nd, 2020 is $1,114,345. So are there any questions from the board on the application?
Yeah, Bob, would you mind repeating what the aggregate
Sure.
assessed value is
Sure.
for this current year?
Sure. For the total January 2nd for the 6 parcels is $1,462,100.
Okay. Thank you. And go ahead, Scott. It looks like you have something to say. Please unmute yourself and go ahead. Scott, it looks like you're still muted. Yeah, wonderful.
Is there
Yeah.
common ownership with these parcels, or are they all owned by one person?
They're all owned by one person.
Would it make any difference if they eliminated the condominium and joined it all into one PID?
Well, I'll let Sheila answer that if you would, Sheila. You got to unmute.
Thank you. Scott, there are more than 6 condominium parcels. So there are, I believe, 4 other units that are not owned by this petitioner.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on. Are there any other questions? Okay. Case number 2 is a single-family home. The owners are Margaret and Christopher Goetz, and the property address is 4909 Arden Avenue. The January 2nd, 2020 value is $815,000, and the owner's estimated market value for January 2nd, 2020 is $676,900.
Yeah, as I look at this one, the one thing that jumps out at me is the 2019 estimated market value of $635,000, increasing this year to $815,000. Can one of the city assessors help me understand kind of what was happening in that general neighborhood, and maybe more specifically, looks like it's you, Nate, with this property?
In 2019, Phil, they pulled approximately $400,000 in permits for an addition remodel.
Okay. And the remodel was completed in 2019 or 2020?
Per my inspection, it was deemed completed for the 2020 assessment.
Okay.
Phil, there's an explanation on page 2 that goes into a little bit of what they worked on. If you flip there.
Oh, great. Thank you, Ed.
I will, in my write-up for you guys for the reconvene, will include all the permits and permit values pulled through the city as well. So that I'll deem a little more light on all the work that was completed per building inspections.
Nate, I have a question. Is it different this year in that you're not able to actually inspect the homes, or are you still able to go into the homes?
For 2019, I would have been able to go through the home. I was not given it. Did not go through the house. So everything that was done would be per the plans that were submitted by the city. So pretty much what goes on there in that neighborhood in the limited size that we have, they can't deviate too much from the plans because there just isn't room for that. So,
so in previous years, you would have seen the case come in and you would have arranged to inspect the property with the owner, but that's different this year because of the social distancing?
Correct. I do believe, and I'll have to talk with Bob, but since it's at this level, I will probably request pictures from the homeowner at this point to help with my appraisal. Otherwise, to follow use path as closely as I possibly can in this situation. So yes, I will try to get pictures, but hopefully they're provided.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask a question of the assessing staff? One of the factors, is the name pronounced Gep? At any rate, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing their name, but Mr. and Mrs. Getz, one of the factors they note here is the pandemic and the potential effect it would have, and their rationale. One of the rationales is that it wouldn't sell for $815,000 a day. That's one of the factors they seem to list. I'd just like to hear from the assessing staff or anybody else who'd like to comment on that. As to whether they think that that's selling today is a figure of speech.
If I might speak up to that topic, we're looking at values that were established as of January 2nd of 2020, which was prior to any virus outbreak in the United States or anything that we have seen. So if there are effects from that to the market, real estate market, that will be reflected in the 2020 market data that will be used to establish the January 2nd, 2021 market value. So any of those effects that may or may not occur will go to the market, we'll measure from the market, and that'll be reflected in next year's value. But it's just important to remember that this value is as of January 2nd of 2020. So.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is case number 3, and the owner's name is San Ha, and the property address is 4500 Parkside Lane. The assessor's January 2nd, 2020 estimated market value is $353,700. And the owner's estimate of market value as of January 2nd of 2020 is $275,000. There are some notes on his application regarding the condition of the property having an effect on the value.
It appears as though the person bought the house in 1999, so has owned it for approximately 20 years. I'm guessing it might have been in decent shape when he bought it, and failed to properly maintain the home. Nate, would this one be yours as well?
This is Adrian's.
Adrian, did you have a chance to see the interior of the house?
I was in the home 5 years ago. And essentially it's at land value.
All right, thank you.
Ed, you're muted.
Sorry, Adrian, have there been a lot of tear downs in that neighborhood?
Yes, lots of tear downs. I gave Mr. Ha a whole list of tear downs or major rehabs in the neighborhood last fall. And we actually did give him a slight condition reduction for 2020. But he still wanted to appeal the value.
It's a very large lot.
Yeah, it's almost a double. Great observation, Ed.
Okay.
Adrian, it's right across the street from Todd Park.
Yes.
Okay. So pretty desirable location. Is Division Street busy? Does anyone know offhand?
I don't think it is.
No.
It's not too bad. I mean, it's a feeder street into the neighborhood.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Adrian.
Yep.
One of the things that we've talked about the past year or two is that it seems like, and I think your stats bear this out that you sent out in advance, is that the houses that tend to be below median in terms of value tend to have been increasing at a greater rate. Can you share any thoughts on that?
That's still true in all areas, I would say, especially in this price range.
Okay. All right. All right. Are we ready to move to the next case? That's case number 4 is Jody and David Albright, and their property address is 6205 Spruce Road. For that property, the January 2nd, 2020 estimated market value is $1,948,200. The owner's estimate of value as of January 2nd, 2020 is $1,500,000.
Whose property is this, or whose neighborhood is this? Yours?
It's mine. Yep.
I see last year the estimated market was 642,000. This year increasing to 220, implying that it's a new build.
Yep.
Did the current owners build, or did they buy it new?
They purchased the land for the 697.
Okay.
And it's a newly built home.
Okay.
Okay. Case number 5. Owners are Salvador and Mia Mendoza, and their property address is 5117 Ridge Road. The January 2nd, 2020 estimated market value is $2,263,900, and the owner's opinion of value as of January 2nd, 2020 is $1,720,000. Are there any
Yeah,
questions?
no questions.
Okay.
No
Then we'll
questions
move-
for me.
Okay. All right. Let's move to case number 6. Case number 6 is represented by the owner, James Richter. His address is 6233 Knoll Drive, Knoll. The 2020 assessor's estimated market value as of January 2nd is $824,300. And according to the owner's application, he did not provide an estimate of market value. Okay, if there's no questions, we'll move on to case number 7. Case number 7 is an apartment property, York Plaza Apartments, represented by Terry Steffen. The address of that property is 7230 York Avenue South. It's a 260 unit apartment building. The January 2nd, 2020 estimated market value is $48,469,300. And the owner's estimate of value as of January 2nd of 2020 is $45,500,000. Just as a note, on these income producing properties, the owner has submitted income and expense data. Because that's considered confidential and private, we've removed that from the public domain. So we have the income and expense information, we just haven't disseminated it.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah. Okay, and then case number 8 has been settled. That's a commercial property. Paul Lynch Jr., representing 4451 West 76th Street. This property owner has been working with Sheila regarding a review of his property. And just today, they came to a mutual agreement as to the valuation reduction. So what we will do with this is we will make it a recommendation for our reconvene meeting on May 6th. It was a reduction. His value was, as of January 2nd, 2020, was $4,336,500, and they came to a mutual number where the owner agreed to settle at $3,557,200.
Good job, Sheila.
Go ahead.
Nice job, Sheila.
Yeah, Sheila works very well with the commercial property owners. Case number 9, Karen Lundholm. She has 2 vacant lots adjacent to her property, and the address of those vacant lots are 300 and 306 Arthur Street. So she's got 2 properties that are undeveloped. The property at 306 Arthur Street has a January 2nd, 2020 estimated market value of $135,000. Last year, for 2019, it was valued at $120,000, and the owner feels that that value should remain unchanged. The other lot that she owns at 300 Arthur Street is valued at $150,000 for January 2nd of 2020. Previous year was at $140,000 for the 19 assessment, and with this one, she also feels that the value should remain unchanged. Okay. And
Hey, Bob, before
Yeah.
we move on, I can't quite tell from the picture. Does Arthur Street continue on to these additional lots, or does it stop at the actual property?
Adrian, can you answer that?
It is actually kind of just a dirt road. There is a right of way that goes through there. So that is one of the issues with those properties. Otherwise, they would be considered valued much higher.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks, Adrian.
Okay. And the last case that we have tonight is case number 10. Sherish and Schwapna Samba are the owners. Their property is at 6633 Parkwood Road. The January 2nd, 2020 estimated market value is $2,214,600. And the owner's estimated market value opinion as of January 2nd, 2020 is $1,850,000. So those are the cases that we have for the board tonight. What we will do is we will prepare staff reports for you prior to the reconvene meeting on these 10 properties. For people that contact us after the meeting tonight, whether they left a message on the phone, left a voicemail, or contact us this week, we will work informally with them and do a review. If we come to agreement, we'll do a recommendation for a change at the reconvene meeting. If not, what we will do is we'll read their case into the agenda, and the board will recommend the board sustain the value and allow the property owner to appeal to the county, if that's okay with the board.
Thanks, Bob. I see Roger has a question. Roger, if you unmute yourself, we'll be able to hear you. There we go, Roger.
Question, I'm a little behind on this stuff, but some of the more expensive ones are non-homestead. Is there a difference between homestead value and non-homestead value anymore?
There would be no difference in value. There used to be a difference in the property taxes that they paid, but once you have a value over about 412,000, there's no tax benefit for a homestead property.
Okay.
That market value exclusion disappears.
Well, if there's no other business then tonight, Bill, I'd like to move that we recess the meeting. We'll reconvene electronically on Wednesday, May 6th at 5:30 p.m.
Second.
Amy?
Andrew Byers,
Aye.
Philip Buckhold,
Aye.
Ed Craycraft,
Aye.
Scott Smith,
Aye.
Roger McVitie.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I hope
Good night.
have a nice evening.
Yep.
See you on May 6th.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.